Good evening. We would appreciate if you could offer us some details about what you have said in the previous roundtable.
Yes, certainly. Well, we were given the exciting topic of climbing in the 21st century. And so what we wanted to really look at and focus on was the changes that have happened, comparing first with the last century. We used to see women walking around in long skirts on glaciers, maybe climbing mountains, but nothing too gymnastic. And then how that has changed in 2000 to Lynn Hill managing to make the first free ascent of the nose. And so that's one aspect. And then also, what are the new things that have happened in climbing in the last few years? And so there's the very exciting thing of ice climbing in caves with stalactites hanging down. That's really quite a funky addition to the repertoire of traditional climbing. And certainly as well the young people, especially a 13-year-old Ashima, who has just recently achieved 9A stroke 9A plus, 2 routes of this standard. That's quite stunning. That's something that we definitely couldn't have imagined in the last century. And is the gap closing between the top girls and the top boys in that field? We looked at social media as well, the effects of Facebook and crowdfunding on climbers' lives and how things change. Mountain enchainments, so many things, so many.
What's your point of view on what regards to the future, maybe also the current situation, but especially the future in women related to climbing?
I think that it's extremely positive. It's more positive than it has ever been before because of the numbers of women that we see in climbing gyms. So the sheer volume of women taking part in the sport is on the up, and also coaching. It's much more normal in the media to see young women. It's much more normal to have women doing all kinds of climbing, not just seconding a climb, but going first, taking on hard challenges which would have been thought as impossible for a woman a few years ago. So I'm extremely positive about the way things are heading for female climbing now.
As you said, women are starting to achieve goals that maybe in the past were only imaginable for men. Does it mean that training is being almost the same, or are there still differences?
I think there are still differences because young women are physiologically different to men. They have a different time when they grow up, so a different time when you have to kind of be careful. But I think the cultural scene has also changed a lot because it's so much more acceptable that groups of women and girls can get together, or even just climb down the gym with their partners, their boyfriends or other girls. Then I think that's the main change, not just physical but a psychological one, and therefore since the psychology's changed, then the opportunities have changed.
Along this Congress, we have seen some proposals, such as encouraging maybe training and climbing in gyms, at the gym, instead of in the nature. What's your opinion about it?
I think that inside the gym it's accessible to more people, but I think people are individuals. Some people prefer the gym and some people prefer the outdoors. One person will want to go out and get a lot more out of a day out, and somebody else will be a lot more motivated by performing a gymnastic move inside. So I see them both as being really healthy, and I think that kind of being able to see things on Instagram and little videos just means that we've got a huge broad spectrum of different ways that people can get involved in climbing, whether it be in the mountains or the gym, and it's all there. So the options are there now.
And about sponsorship, have you ever found any difficulties just for being a woman?
That's so hard to say, isn't it? I mean, you can't say that just because you're a woman, perhaps you didn't get sponsored. I think there are certainly some women who are more media friendly than others. I think if you're generally slimmer and fitter looking and take a good photograph, then people are more likely to sponsor you. Now, whether that is a good thing or not, that's debatable. But definitely, some people's dreams are more kind of media niche than others. It depends, do you want to be bouldering on a beach? Do you want to be going on a long expedition where there's a real story to it? It all depends, but
then it doesn't depend on discrimination anymore. It's on other factors.
I think that it can depend on discrimination, potentially on religious grounds. In some countries, or perhaps for some Muslim women, it's more difficult to get sponsored and be visible in sport because of the attire that has to be worn. And so definitely in those cases, I think there are potentially less opportunities for women.
Could you end up with a wish for women climbing?
Keep getting stronger, get as much out of it as I've got out of it. So that it can keep changing and strengthen in all the different parts, and the most important thing is that it's fun.
Thank you very much for your time.